unfamiliar, Kelly and I, the Activision Blizzard Media team, we represent all of the ad-enabled opportunities across our portfolio of games. Kelly, are you up? Perfect. Thank you so much. And in case anyone is unfamiliar with who Activision Blizzard are, in terms of the gaming realm, we are the largest independent gaming company in the Western world. In terms of the properties that we represent, we have Activision, we have Blizzard, we have King. But what's super exciting, especially for me, growing up a gamer, is that, we represent all of those ad-enabled opportunities across, our games, which are some of the most influential gaming titles of all time. This screen right here shows 5 of our 8 $1 billion franchises, headlined by, you guessed it, Candy Crush, Call of Duty, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, and Crash Bandicoot. If we also have any Tony Hawk Pro Skater fans on the line, if we have any Guitar Hero fans on the line as well, also some of our, original IP. So when you think of Activision Blizzard, think of Premium, think of Super Endemic. We've done a ton of work across both UM and the larger IPG family, at least in my 2 years here. And understanding, gaming's momentum as an emerging channel and brands recognizing the massive opportunity. We're super excited to be talking to you guys today, and, just to share details on how we can not only add value to your gaming strategy, but your mobile, video, and content strategies as well, just because that's where we sit at the intersection of, mobile, gaming, and video, and we also dabble with content as well. So Kelly, if you want to pop over the next slide, awesome. So in terms of gaming's momentum, unless you guys have been living under a rock, gaming is absolutely killing it right now. When you think about the conditions of COVID, right, and some of the how it's really impacted culture, people have been cooped up at home. So they, basically from a research and insights perspective, we've seen that games are not only being played, but also watched at record-breaking levels. And the key call out here is when you look at, the rapid growth of gaming, a lot of it has really been fueled by the adoption of mobile gaming, which is why, understanding kind of the historical nature of video games. Video games started off in arcades. You'd put a quarter into the slot machine and you'd start playing. Naturally, gaming was extremely amplified when consoles became a thing. So all of a sudden, if you own a TV, you're within the jurisdiction of owning a video game console. And now when you think about how gaming has really kind of, navigated its way into mobile, everyone essentially has a entertainment or a gaming console in their pocket, which is why for brands, not only is there, so many people playing games, but I think relative to the amount of time spent in the gaming realm, it's still very much a very unsaturated opportunity, which I think for brands, the opportunity there is that you're going to have great share of voice, and you're going to be reaching users in an entertainment forum where they're spending tons of time. Kelly, if you want to pop over to the next slide. So we've talked about games, our games, gaming's momentum. That said, not all of our games are ad enabled. So in terms of which of our games are ad enabled, we start with King and Candy Crush, which is really our mobile casual hero. Candy Crush is great for brands. It's super premium from both, a historical context, but also a topical standpoint as well. And what I mean by that is that Candy Crush, outside of our more recent success, has already been the #1 mobile gaming app of all time. Over 1 billion downloads. But from a recency perspective, we actually saw our best year ever this year. So we announced our Q1 earnings in May, and excited to share that we've seen record-breaking engagement. So mostly month of active users, time spent, levels played. Candy Crush also, once again, was the #1 grossing mobile app in US app stores. So tons of momentum. Obviously the game is super brand safe, colorful animations, family friendly. So definitely a great place for brands to be. And then making our way into our esports offering, which currently we have 2 esports of our esports leagues that are ad enabled. Essentially, just to give you guys some top level background, our esports IP used to live on Twitch. Last year, we formed a partnership with YouTube. YouTube was trying to grow their gaming presence. So essentially, the agreement was if you run some of your esports IP on our platform, we will let your media team be the exclusive seller to that content. So in terms of, the esports opportunities, starting with Call of Duty, which is definitely it's king of the proverbial console gaming jungle at the moment. It's the most commercially successful video game console franchise of all time. Similar to Candy Crush, also having a lot of topical relevance as well. In fact, 2020 featured our most successful Call of Duty in franchise history. I'm sure we have some Warzone players on the line, but yeah, definitely a great time to get involved with Call of Duty. Just being mindful of the record-breaking engagement scene. And then our other esports opportunity is Overwatch, which is not necessarily the same household name as Call of Duty. However, it's actually more lucrative from an esports perspective. Part of this has to do with the fact that Overwatch League is in year 4 or year 5, I want to say, whereas Call of Duty is currently in its 2nd year. But Overwatch League, not only huge nationally, it's huge globally as well. In fact, it's the first global city-based esports league. And then in terms of topical relevance as well, similar to Call of Duty, similar to Candy Crush, had its best year ever in 2020. In fact, last year featured our most watched Overwatch League finals ever. So tons of momentum across the portfolio, record-breaking engagement, whether you're looking at King and the Candy Crush portfolio or both of the ad-enabled properties within our esports offering. Does anyone have any questions so far?
I didn't see any questions come through in the chat, but I think we're going to try to hold them to the end.
Sorry about that.
Get your momentum going there, but I'll let you know.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Kelly, if you just want to pop over the next slide. Awesome. So in terms of, how you guys can get into the game, and I kind of touched upon, our ad-enabled properties, but just to kind of, bring things back for a second. So we have our premium mobile in-game media. So this pertains to King, our mobile casual offering, which features, Candy Crush, which is our hero game. We also offer integration opportunities. So the event, you're looking for something that goes beyond, video. We do offer brands the ability to either sponsor the home screen or there's other integration opportunities as well. And then in terms of our esports offering, we do allow brands the ability to either get stitched into the live broadcast or run on our video on demand channels as well. So focusing on King and rewarded video. Rewarded video has really been our bread and butter product to date. It's pretty pretty straightforward. You run out of lives, you run out of moves. The way the game used to operate was you'd have to wait 24 hours to keep playing. Essentially, the only other way you could keep playing was if you made an in-app purchase, which I hope you're all sitting down. Candy Crush generated $3 billion in in-app purchases last year, which is insane. But basically, from a media perspective, we saw an opportunity for those users that were discouraged that, hey, I don't want to pay any money. There was an ad opportunity here that offered, brands a premium environment that was brand safe and a native ad experience. So essentially, you run out of lives, you run out of moves. Click into this 15 or 30-second Coca-Cola ad, and we will give you extra lives and extra moves to continue your gameplay. So being mindful of the rewarded video element, the fact that you only get the reward, those boosters, if you watch the video to its full completion. We see really strong video performance metrics. So 95% VCR, 99% viewability. But I think the other key takeaway here is just when you think of the nature of rewarded video, the fact that Coca-Cola or Hulu or Spotify are the heroes that kind of swoop in and save the day and give the users extra lives, extra moves to continue their gameplay. There's lots of brand love and positive message association with the experience itself. So not only is it going to perform great from a KPI perspective, but it really helps, if any brands are focused on brand love or things of that nature. We have tons of Millward Brown studies that highlight that, the brands and the messages that they convey in Candy Crush are very, very well received. And then we also do have some interactive end card functionalities. In the event you're looking for driving some type of further engagement that goes beyond, a video completed view. So essentially, if you want to, run a carousel or a scratch and reveal, we also recently implemented a gamification interactive end card as well, which we refer to as Match 3, which essentially just kind of mimics the gamification element of Candy Crush, which is, the Match 3 concept, which is what we kind of pioneered and made so successful and well known. And then Coca-Cola, Hulu, Spotify, CBS, Energizer, some of the IPG brands that we've ran with, that we've had a ton of success with. And then in terms of sponsorship, so essentially there's two different ways to activate from a sponsorship perspective. The early game takeover, which is essentially a branded home screen. This was something that we ran for Unilever and Breyers last year, which will be relaunching in a week or two. So make sure you tune in. But essentially, in the event you guys are looking to...
Relaunching this Sunday on National Ice Cream Day, so check it out. And also it's National Ice Cream Day, so you have an excuse to eat some ice cream.
Exactly. And if you look on the right frame, the sponsored daily gift, that launches in tandem with the early game takeover. Full transparency, early game takeover, just being mindful of the custom nature, does take around 8 to 12 weeks creative lead time. We do sell sponsored daily gift as a standalone product. So the event you really want to kind of lean into that integration type element, but don't have 8 to 12 weeks lead time, which understanding clients don't always give you, 3 months in advance to launch an initiative. Sponsored daily gift could be live within 3 to 4 weeks. And what I think is so notable and so impactful about this offering is when you think about the nature of the ad products, right? The early game takeover, it's a branded home screen. It's a great way to capitalize and leverage Candy Crush's record-breaking engagement. It's 100% share of voice, so you're literally integrated into the home screen. You're unmissable. But what's really great, I think, is a sponsored daily gift. After you're greeted with a home screen, you're welcomed with a prompt which says, "Enjoy, unlimited color bombs for 30 minutes, brought to you by Coca-Cola." So similar to the success that we see with rewarded video. The fact that your brand is kind of the hero that swoops in and saves the day, lots of brand love, lots of positive message association with the experience itself. This is great for product launches, great for mass awareness, and it's great for anything you guys are trying to kind of like make a big splash around. Unilever actually didn't really have any visibility for any tent poles that they wanted to surround. I'm sure you guys are aware there's a national day for everything these days. In fact, I want to say it's either National Soda Day or National Enjoy a Coke Day is early May. So we basically kind of came up with the idea for Breyers, National Ice Cream Day is a thing. It exists. They loved it. They leaned in. It aligned with their flighting parameters. So that was where we kind of really honed in. And it's a 7-day sponsorship. Yeah. If you want to pop over to esports, Kel. Just want to make sure I leave these guys with enough time for questions. And then in terms of esports, I kind of touched upon the nature of the partnership itself. The esports IP used to live on Twitch, lives on YouTube now. You'd have to go through, Kelly or myself to align with this content. But there's two different ways to get into the broadcast. There is the live element. So that's getting stitched into the actual live broadcast. If we have any sports fans on the line, you're watching the NBA, you're watching the NFL, you're watching the Giants. God forbid you're watching the New York Jets like myself. You are stitched into the actual live broadcast. So in between commercial breaks, there's a pod of commercials that runs, and that's where you will be placed. And then VOD, similar in nature. However, this just lives on the VOD channels as well. In terms of what lives in the VOD channels, all of the compelling shoulder content that lives in tandem with a live broadcast. So match replays, highlights, player interviews, behind the scenes. And if you guys are familiar with buying YouTube, which I know I'm sure a lot of you are, skippable, non-skippable, and bumpers. So all of those formats that you guys are familiar with are what are present on our esports properties as well. But one key thing I do want to denote about the esports offering, just being mindful. I used to work in TV before I navigated my way over to Activision Blizzard Media. Incremental reach. I know it's a priority for a lot of brands. Males to 18-34, very elusive audience. So, in the event that demo is a priority for you, and you might be missing them on maybe your linear buys, here's an environment where you could reach them in an endemic gaming, platform, where you're going to have a high propensity to reach them. In fact, I want to say 70% plus of the audience is males 18 to 34. So just something to keep in mind. And Coca-Cola, T-Mobile, NBA, Spotify, some of the IPG brands that we've ran with both this year and last year. Kelly, if you want to pop over the next slide.
Ryan, we actually do have a question in the chat that I did
Yeah.
want to pause for before we move on from this slide. Marcy asked how many minutes of ads and how many ads per break in the live stream on YouTube. Which pod also?
Each pod, it's actually different. We've just moved to a new format within YouTube, using a new podding technology they've integrated in the last 2 weekends of matches. So I'm not sure the exact number that is per pod at this point. We can follow up with that for sure. In terms of how many minutes per stream, because the podding is so new, that's kind of in flux too. Previously, we actually had someone watching the match live and inserting the ads when they deemed it, to be a natural break in gameplay. So it was actually, different each week depending on the nature of the matches and the stream. But we can follow up with Marcy on what we've seen so far in the last week or two of the new podding structure.
That would be great. Thank you. Yeah, we can share out any follow-ups with this group as well.
Totally. And then just understanding that, we've kind of discussed the two different elements of our ad offering. They're definitely different in the regard that one is an in-game experience, whereas one is an in-stream experience. However, they're very similar, and there's a lot of synergy in the regard of the premium nature of the gaming environment that you're going to be reaching people. So King, Candy Crush, #1 mobile game of all time. And then in terms of the esports offering, Overwatch League is one of the top esports leagues. And then you have Call of Duty, which, as I mentioned before, king of the proverbial console gaming jungle, an absolute behemoth. That said, there are different audiences when you think about the nature of each offering. So this slide, I just wanted you guys to have for reference, just to kind of give you an idea of who lives on the King, the mobile casual offering. That's going to be where you see a really strong general market alignment, adults 25 to 54. And, in terms of the core within the core, moms 35 plus is where we really see the strongest density, which for brands is great just because, as we know, moms have a lot of influence on those household decisions, regardless of which category your brand may align with. Definitely a lot of alignment with those important stakeholders. And then from an esports perspective, probably the least shocking news you'll hear all day, a lot of males 18 to 34. So again, I think the key element there is understanding how elusive that audience is. We have a very high over index against users who don't have a paid TV provider. These are users that are leveraging ad blockers. So here's an environment where, truthfully, without layering on any targeting, if males 18 to 34 are a priority, you will have a high propensity to reach them just with run-of-network targeting. So that kind of speaks to the different audiences. I also just included some historical context across the IPG family. And as you can see, the growth's been pretty notable from 2019 when I started to 2020, almost, over 3x. And then in terms of, first half alone this year, we've already surpassed all of last year's investment across all of IPG. And that beautiful square that features all of the brands, I put that together myself. So please hold the applause for later. But just a quick snapshot of some of the beautiful brands and their beautiful logos that we've partnered with a lot across the last 2 or 3 years. And then just to kind of bring everything in, and again, I created this slide as well, so apologies for all the text. But if you guys just want to kind of focus on the bolded areas, the key pillars for me, I consume gaming, but I also started in TV. I made my way over to digital, and now I've kind of been very fortunate to kind of blend work with passion. The big thing where I think that Activision Blizzard Media is able to help brands is the fact that, gaming's an emerging channel. There's a ton of momentum behind the channel itself, and it aligns with the big shift in consumer behavior. I'm sure you guys as media experts, but also media consumers, can relate to the fact that your content consumption habits have probably drastically changed from your pre-COVID times to where you're at now. And I could send you research until I'm blue in the face regarding, how gaming seeing record-breaking engagement really across the map. That said, not every individual video game is seeing record-breaking engagement, which is why as we make our way down to our second pillar, this is where I think we can help brands, is the fact that we're already premium historically. When you parlay that premium nature with the fact that we're continuing to see relevance, and we're seeing record-breaking engagement across both 2020 and 2021, I think it presents a great opportunity for brands as they're trying to evaluate impactful channels, to really promote their message. Brand safe. The games are super brand safe. From a reach perspective and audience alignment, what I love about our offering, whereas when you think about a partner like a Twitch, right, like a streaming platform, you're going to have a great alignment with adults 18 to 34 because we're able to dabble with both the mobile casual and the esports space. We basically can touch any audience that you're trying to reach. So whether or not it comes 50, males 25, we have gaming environments that can help you reach those consumers. And as you know, gaming is a great place to be right now just because people are spending so much time playing games. And then I think the last key pillar here is just the high performing products. We are very much so at an advantage, in my opinion, versus other gaming partners. Whereas some gaming partners, their only source of revenue is advertising revenue. We've been a successfully publicly traded company for the last 20 years. The advertising business has only been around for about 4 or 5 years. So we're very committed to making sure that all the ad experiences that we implement are authentic to the environment, and they are respectful to the user and their experience, and they're impactful at engaging them, and they're in some way bringing back value. So understanding that you guys have the fun job of now vetting out a completely new channel, which, as I know, can definitely present some challenges. You can lean on like a partner like an ABM to help not only, give you impactful and premium environments, but we can help you as kind of as a consultative approach as well. And you guys can have faith that the ad products that we're putting forth are committed to the user experience, and making sure we're bringing value to both the brand, the user, and to the platforms as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. That was great content. I just want to urge everyone, if you have questions, feel free to speak up live or use the chat. Albert from the Coke team actually had a question that came in while you were speaking. He wants to know, he's observed that, QR codes have become more popular in the live sports space. Is that something Activision Blizzard is working on or something that's available to date?
Not available to date. Something we're certainly exploring. I don't have more to share just yet on that, but something that I think we look at every avenue.
Great. So we have representation from a variety of different advertisers on this call with very different levels of comfort in the gaming space. So if I'm, really fresh to gaming, what's a really easy turnkey recommendation you'd have to make someone really comfortable and kind of effortless to work with you guys?
For sure. Yeah, I would say, obviously, the opportunity with King and with rewarded video is great in terms of if you are going after a more general market audience, it's a really both the seamless way to get in front of a gamer audience, and also, as to Brian's earlier point, like the most brand safe that you can get in the space. Everything's completely direct through us, owned and operated by our teams, and not available elsewhere. So you can feel really confident that this is, putting you in front of the right audience in the right environment. Should you be going after kind of a more traditional gamer audience, that kind of young male, what I really see the value of our streaming opportunities across our leagues is that it's all professionally produced match content. So if you were to compare with another, streaming platform out there, like a Twitch, which is super valuable and has a ton of engagement and a really valuable audience. What they, can't always offer is, that professional sports nature. All of our players, they hold themselves to standards just as an NFL or an MLB player would during gameplay. So there isn't unsavory, comments. There isn't the, profanity. All of that. They sign a code of conduct. So
no vaping either.
Pardon?
No vaping either.
No vaping during the game.
Twitch, so which I know for a brand would be a nightmare to be adjacent to. So just something to keep in mind.
Yep. So everything there, you can just feel confident that is being, it's as apples to apples to integrating with, Fox NFL Sunday.
Great. Can you talk a little bit more about like what not only a crawl, but like a walk and a run could look like for a brand? And I know we talked a little bit about creative, like lead times earlier on, but getting a sense of what these lead times could look like and any minimum spends would be some great information.
Sure. So if I look at on the King side of the house, walk/speed walk is definitely our sponsorship and our integrated offerings. As Brian mentioned, some of those, like our sponsored gift, are fairly turnkey. But beyond that, I think the early game takeover that we offer, which is the full takeover of the game for that 7-day period, it allows you to really get an understanding for how this mobile casual audience plays for you, because we do extensive research alongside it. We see that the strongest impact is from a player who both sees that home screen integration and then later sees the corresponding rewarded video ad throughout that flight. So that kind of 1-2 punch we've seen be really impactful for driving increases in recall, as well as, we've seen as of late, a lot of those more kind of mid-funnel, lower funnel indicators like purchase intent and consideration really get to, see a strong impact from those sort of executions. I would say the run is, it's not something we definitely, we had really packaged up to share with you guys today. It's kind of an emerging thing for us, which we hope to be able to share in the coming months. But it's the next iteration of brand partnerships across Candy Crush. So if anyone has Candy on their phone right now or wants to download it, we are live right now with a massive integration with Space Jam. You get to see a candified LeBron, and Bugs Bunny is all over your map. It's a really, really fun integration. It's a huge partnership for us. I would say that's the future of brand integrations across our casual side. Oh, there we go. You can play around with it. There's a content hub with exclusive trailers, a lot of fun stuff in there. Obviously, this is a theatrical release, so the kind of integration pieces that we have in there fit that. I think there's right now we're in the process of designing what does an integration look like and what's meaningful for a telco brand or a tech brand or a CPG brand. So that's kind of the next iteration of our partnerships, which we will bring to you guys as soon as those are hammered out. We'll also be rolling out Candy seasons. So there'll be opportunities for brands to own key seasons throughout the year. Things like Halloween, things like the holiday season. I don't know, can I say Super Bowl? Around the big game, different seasonal, spring season, different seasons like that. There's always custom designs in Candy. Now we're looking for brand partners who can join us in that and build something really custom that, again, hits on your brand goals. It's not about just coming into, Candy and fitting into our world. We want to make sure that it actually is impactful for the brand. So for a retailer, they're going to seek to find a way to integrate, a way to engage players differently than a tech brand will. So that's something that is also forthcoming for us. On the esports side of the house, as T-Mo and Coca-Cola are very well aware, there are opportunities to actually partner with our esports leagues and be sponsors. So T-Mobile is a longtime partner of both our Overwatch League and our Call of Duty League. Coca-Cola is our title beverage sponsor of our Overwatch League. Those partnerships are massive. A lot is included there. It's something that Brian and I don't necessarily represent but we work really closely with our esports partnerships team to service their sponsors who are active in media, and also just ensure that our brand partners kind of have the full scope of offerings across ABK.
And one thing I just wanted to add, just because I am a diehard sports fan, is if you were to tell me like 20 years ago I had a chance to get grandfathered into a long-standing partnership with an NFL, the growth behind esports is so massive, which is why I think it's very much so an untapped opportunity. And for the brands that are leaning in, I think they're really reaping the rewards right now. And in terms of both Call of Duty and Overwatch League, not only does the esports space have a ton of momentum, but those are two of the most premium, most endemic gaming IPs out there. So just something to keep in mind as you guys are vetting out up and coming emerging channels and different sponsorship opportunities.
That's great. So what brands would you say are doing it right in the space, and maybe what are some things that you think brands should stop doing?
So, I mean, I would say, not to be like totally pandering, but the brands like a Coca-Cola, like a T-Mobile, who have really leaned in and just kind of, dove in head first and not looked back, have, I think, benefited the most. Because, when we look at Overwatch League in its 5th season, there really is an understanding from the fans of Overwatch League that the reason they are in their 5th season are because of those brand partners who have come in and and essentially funded this formerly niche interest of theirs and really brought it mainstream. So there is just so much love for those brands, and you're really building a loyal fan base within this Gen Z market, which is obviously unlike any generation before, but quickly going to be the generation with the most purchase power, very, very shortly. So I think that's something that, when we talk about the brands that, obviously you have to get a comfort level and you have to test and make sure this is the right environment for you. But brands that are kind of teetering on the edge and thinking about it, I think you will benefit from investing with the right partner in a big way and holistically, not just doing, one-off ad hoc initiatives. I think that's when you really support is when you see the biggest benefit. I would say anyone doing it wrong, kind of to answer that second point, there are some brands doing, I think doing more kind of ad hoc initiatives, more buzzy sort of things. I think you just have a better chance of missing on those. It's hard a lot of times, like especially with such an emerging and ever-changing format and world such as esports. You feel like you really need to do something super buzzy to get the attention of these gamers. But I think a lot of times those just give you more opportunity to miss. So I think kind of going with the tried and trues is where we've seen the most success.
And one other thing I just wanted to add, just because I spoke with Ryan about this, and Kelly and I, in addition to speaking with investment folks and strategy folks, a lot of these holding companies are starting to arm themselves with like gaming teams, gaming specialists. Sometimes they sit under innovation. Sometimes they are specifically gamers. The feedback that I've gotten from conversations with those folks is that 2 to 3 years ago, when people didn't necessarily have gaming money bucketed, but they wanted to align with some type of gaming content, they would work with a streaming partner like a Twitch just to kind of check off the gaming box. But what I think is really important for brands to recognize is that it's a much more complex and deeper ecosystem than just a streaming partner like that. You have in-game, which, at least as far as we're concerned, pertains to King and Candy Crush, those ads that are in the game itself. Then you have in-stream, which could either be aligning with esports content or influencers. And then there's also lifestyle. So like publishers, so working with an IGN.com, working with a GameStop for those people who like to stay up to date for, reviews and all the latest trends in gaming. So what I think you're going to see over time is brands start to recognize that and really lean into the different environments and seek ways that are authentic and engaging ways to reach their audience.
Great. I think we had a question come in, and I know Ryan has a question too. Before we get to Ryan's question, really quickly, do you guys work with pharma brands?
Oh my gosh, do we work with pharma brands? Kelly, I'll let you take it away.
He loves his jazz pharma. He does a little like jazz. It's a long story. Anyway, short story, boring. Yeah, pharma has actually been a really interesting emerging category for us, especially across predominantly across the King casual side. We have a really strong older demo there. I think like 45 plus is a really strong index for us. So it's been a great environment to reach them also because we are able to accept long form content. So up to 90 seconds, that is something that I know anyone who's working on pharma is probably plagued with trying to find places that are engaging and perform to put that kind of content. And that's something that we're able to accept and we've seen work really well. So I know a number of our partners had, leverage Crossix to measure that. And we've seen, a ton of success on those initiatives with our audience. So for us, I know we've seen a lot of success across diabetes, across some different sleep disorders, and a few other categories as well.
Cool. So I've got one more, knowing that we just got a few minutes left. I know we talked a lot about Candy Crush and its unrivaled success, but can we execute a buy across the entire mobile portfolio of King? And then as a multi-part query, are some of the features that you're rolling out from an advertising sponsorship perspective going to be available across some of these other titles as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, to your first question, absolutely. Working with us, we talk a lot about Candy Crush because it is the hero, and we love it. But our other titles are, they're very similar in the design is all match 3. It's all, several of them are built off the Candy Crush IP. There's Candy Crush Jelly, Candy Crush Soda. Everyone sort of has their favorite, but the audience doesn't really differ too much between the different games. So when you are working with us, you are running across all of our titles so that you are getting, that broad access to our 10 different titles there. When it comes to expanding more integrated offerings across, the rest of the portfolio, that is definitely on the docket. I think, Candy Crush Soda is one that comes to mind. Not to focus so much on Coca-Cola, but, you just can't get away from it. But Candy Crush Soda is a really sizable one for us, and also has a ton of interest in talking to brands about integration opportunities. So for us, that is definitely something that'll be on the horizon. Some of our other mobile titles that exist, so these are really new for us. When it comes to ad enablement, it's something that's kind of still in the early stages, but Call of Duty Mobile is another title of ours. I'm sure you guys are a little familiar. It has like 100 million downloads, actually.
500 million.
500 million, excuse me, 500 million downloads. Really sizable launch for us. Right now, we're in the process of bringing rewarded video and integrated experiences to that for brands in the right way. Mid-core, hardcore gamers, they want to be rewarded in different ways than a casual gamer. It's just a completely different format. So, as us being a gaming platform first, we have to be true to the players and bring an experience that's additive and right for them. So that's something that you can expect to see from us in the future, as well as our newest title, Crash Bandicoot on the Run. So that launched in late March. Right now we're in, we're in the stages of building that audience. It had like 25 million downloads in its first week. So there's a lot of devout Crash followers. It's our first mobile runner. So that's something that I think we'll probably see in 2022, opportunities to integrate more there as well.
Great. I think we have time for maybe one more question. I think we talked a little about like where there's some white space for brands, where we can break through, some things that are coming down the pike on your product roadmap that are really exciting. Where would you say, we talked a little bit about how, driving brand love and that being really a focus there. In terms of measurement and some results you've seen, how does that typically translate to sales and some success brands have seen?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we are leaning on a lot more as of late. Working with like the NCSs of the world to understand that impact. Measurement's a huge piece of our value proposition as a media offering. In that, before we even when we decided to build out ads on this platform, before we went and found me and Brian to actually go out and talk to brand partners, we built a really robust measurement and insights practice. So everything that we've brought to market has been extensively tested to make sure it's right for the player and in turn right for the brand. And in turn, that's something that we aim to do on basically any campaign that is that we're able to. So that's something that's important to shout out. If there's interest in obviously learning more about the effectiveness of your campaigns from a brand health perspective, but also from that further sort of, that lower funnel, be that sales, be that foot traffic, that's always something that we can facilitate. We ran, I think, our first NCS study last fall with one of our CPG partners and saw a really strong impact there in terms of, MMM studies and other studies that are ran more holistically with some of our brand partners. We know that we're consistently a top performer there. So that's important for us to know because we see the great brand health metrics, but are we actually driving sales? Are we actually driving traffic? And so far we have seen that be really successful for us. So that's always something that, please reach out if you have interest in exploring studies like that. We're always happy to facilitate that and share some case studies. And then on the same vein, learning more about your audience. That's also, a huge part of what we offer. We have our own player panel across King, the King's Council. We also replicated that methodology with a fan panel across CDL and OWL. So we have the ability for our brand partners to actually tap into those panels to understand a little bit more about your brand and gamers. So, what is most impactful to them in terms of, what is the kind of format that's going to really make them pay attention. Are they looking for coupons? Are they looking for, free giveaways? What are the, the different things that are going to make an impact in gaming? That's all something that we can, help you facilitate through access to this panel. So always happy to be a resource there for that research, creative testing, anything like that, to help you guys as you learn and explore the space.
Great. Thank you so much. This has been really useful. I hope everyone else found it useful as well. I just wanted to take a second and thank you guys, of course, for all of your time this evening. And then, of course, the Gaming Champions team, Reynard, Randy, Ryan, Matt. Thanks, guys, for putting this all together. We will follow up with any answers to any questions if you guys have more questions. And then I think we just had that one follow-up we needed. And thanks so much. We really appreciate it. This was really great. And we'll send through the recording as well for the group.
Great. Thank you guys so much for having us. Thank you, Reynard, for repping us with that shirt and I think hat too, right?
Yep. There we go.
Yep, it's the hat. Yep, I saw it. Nice.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure you guys get some materials and then also that Danielle and team, everyone has our contact info. So, any questions, always happy to share more.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks guys.
Everyone.
Appreciate your time.
Buddy.
Thanks
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.